So my thing is the same like what happened against Ireland, where we have a great game, and then the next game not so great. So I think we might have a great.
But that was Australia. Great and then not so great. Or was that just conditions?
I think that was just conditions. I think that Australia game we would have still smashed them. Yeah, because they're a joke team. Let's be honest.
Okay. So with that then, is the first game the Australian leg, or is the first game Ellis Park in Cape Town?
Ellis Park in Cape Town.
Oh.
So I'm a bit more concerned about Cape Town than Ellis Park.
Okay. Well, welcome to Nice Try for the Fans. We're diving straight into it. Timothy, Joshua.
What do you do?
He is concerned. Concerned for Cape Town. Is that going to be the title of this episode?
I wouldn't say concern per se. I'm just saying out of the two games.
Oh.
Yeah, more of my concern is
okay
on the Cape Town test. Just because this is a Springbok team that is, maybe the tide is turning, but it's historically been underperforming after a very good result.
Or a series of very good results, because that's what we've been seeing. Let's look back. We are of course on the home leg of the Rugby Championships. The first two matches a success, because going to Australia and coming back with 2 bonus point victories is a success. Blooded some young players, checked out very different venues, very different conditions. So when it comes to building up to the World Cup, so that's how I'm rating success. Also, Zwandile Stick this week in the press conference said that before the season started, if you'd offered them 10 points in Australia, they would have laughed and said, no, that's not going to happen. We'll just, go for the experience and make the most out of it and maybe get a losing bonus, that kind of thing. This was, for them,
Yeah, but I mean, that kind of plays into my point. The fact that they'd be happy with that means historically we haven't been able to back up.
So I'm wondering, what is the threshold? Is it one good match, one not so good, one good match, or is it one tour and then a dip, or is it we're going to do really well in the whole Rugby Championships and then at the end of the year, on the end of year tour, then we'll do badly? Like, where is...
I think we're always in the pursuit of perfection, right? I know a couple of people that said we didn't play that well in that first Australian test. Yeah, because if you look at that scoreline, we potentially should have been... It should have been a historic defeat of Australia.
Yes.
So if you look at it like that, and I'm sure there's many occasions like that, and so I'm obviously holding them to like the utmost standards. And I think if Fassie them had their way, it's very dramatic to win each of your knockout games by 1 point. But I'm sure they would prefer a easy, dominant performance.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for them to push the envelope now in that direction, where it's not just but this. Like, I almost want it to be unanimously and uncontroversially stated or maintained that the Springbok team is the greatest Springbok team, because we still have that All Black team. I think that is probably still held out as the greatest ever, because they won the 2 World Cups, so they can say that as well. And then they obviously have the most wins, consecutive wins, and they did it in all circumstances, like away from home, at home. They never let up, like they kept their foot on the throttle. So I in terms of the development of, or at least maybe not the development, the combination of this era, I would like to see them prove it, because it seems like the Springbok team was always able to hang or give a good account of themselves on occasion. But now I want him to show it that it wasn't a fluke. You know, these guys were legit the best for this era.
Yes.
But that's just me. Look, Rassie might just have 2027 in mind and be like, oh, we can take a few losses on the chin. Doesn't matter, because we have grander plans.
Wouldn't that be old with him? Because his plan was always 2023 and 2019 was the bonus.
Yeah.
So couldn't this world domination be the next plan for him rather than just the next World Cup? Or is he focusing on something else? Maybe his next project is a more personal one. Like maybe his project is just Sasha.
Look,
he's creating the greatest ever.
As great a human being and as proud a South African as he is, I think there is some level of pride that Rassie might want to show. That, you know, he's this genius, all-knowing sort of rugby guru. And the way you cement that is by... Because, look, there were many years where Rassie was killing it on the provincial scene.
Yeah.
And he wasn't... Like, he didn't get his flowers for it because Jake White won the World Cup. You know, Ellis Park going deep in Super Rugby finals, Heineken Meyer, all these guys. And Rassie never got that. Now, you can say, look, when South Africa wins the World Cup, Rassie's in the background. He's not taking photos with the team. So maybe that is him, but you know, the human condition wants sort of gratification. I wouldn't begrudge him.
No,
because he's done a lot, and I mean, we would be along for that ride. So help me, help you. You know.
yeah. Whatever he's up to, we're here for it.
Yeah.
We'll be enjoying it.
Definitely.
So we've mentioned those last outings, those last matches. So just a quick look back on the results. New Zealand, they bounced back. Of course, the first round they lost to Argentina, but then beat Argentina emphatically, 42 points to 10. I mean, they just didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, I think when you watch that first test, they literally played into Argentina's hands, and the second test they reverted back to type, and Argentina stood no chance. So I think in the first test there weren't any scrums for the first 70, 60
20 minutes.
Yeah, the last 20 minutes was the first scrum. I think it was that.
The last 20, not the first 20. Sorry, yes.
And that obviously played into Argentina's hands because the next week when they were scrumming. Wow. You know, I like Galo. Yeah, Argentina are a running gun team. If you're going with set pieces, they still have some work to do. There's some really great players, but structure-wise, they're lacking. So a little preview for Australia. I think Australia might have a chance because they cut their teeth against a very organized Springbok team. And let's be honest, they challenged us in the conditions in that second test, especially at our line-out. Obviously, the conditions did play a role, but you know, they made it work for them. So we might see them get some joy if they also decide to not play it too willy-nilly, like the All Blacks did in the first test.
Yeah, that second match between Australia and South Africa ended 12 points to 30. And despite the conditions, there was still a bit of fun had by those Springbok players who were given an opportunity. Not everyone took hold of their opportunity, I thought. Someone who is being rewarded, however. Hey, can I get an amen? Aphelele Fassie, but I don't want to get into that like right away. Let's just quickly look back on that match. I know it's now 2 weeks away, and it was rainy, treacherous. There were, and I'm not saying there were moments where the game was, we were losing our grip on it or anything like that. But there were times when, there were moments where it was like, okay, it looked a little bit like these guys were thrown together a few days ago. Yeah. You mentioned the lineouts, of course, the conditions, and it's such heavy pressure coming in, and you're like the fourth choice, and here's your opportunity. I think he's probably one of the players, Robelaar, who couldn't necessarily grab hold of his opportunity as much as he would have liked.
Yeah.
But then also the other set piece, I can't remember the last time I watched non-contested scrums. It was boring.
Literally, I started scrolling on Twitter and almost listened to a podcast because I was like, this is...
What can you help us? When does that happen? What's the rule there exactly?
I actually went to go and check because, with Earburn potentially now playing, someone asked, so what is to stop you from naming a squad and then just having injuries? I mean, I know Rassi's now forcing himself into a box with naming his squad on the Tuesday, but case in point was Twickenham, where Valley obviously couldn't play, and then I think it was Marco that came on as
the first 7-1
as a reserve. So I don't know the full list, but anyway, as I was looking into World Rugby's injury passport regulations, apparently there's a team, a World Rugby official that gets to decide at least bloodburn replacements. So I think that would probably be the assistant ref that would say, oh, he needs to come off for blood, and then HRA is another one. And so there were calls of conspiracy. So I think it's probably not. It's unlikely that, because it's an independent party. I think they know that it would detract from the spectacle. Because people were calling foul at some of the injuries that the props of Australia picked. But yeah, it did make for a lackluster performance. Although I did see some touches that are still, lemons lemonading in terms of trying to try a few things out. Obviously, when Andre came on that 10-12 with Mani and Ox, the hands. Very, very, very subtle.
Yeah, so light.
Yeah, and he was being used at the end of a diamond, and it's like, okay, is he gonna carry? Because he's obviously a very strong carrier. But then he was just letting it out at the back. I was like, okay, very, very, very sulky.
Yeah.
So that was nice to see. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed that certain players didn't fully state their claim. I did like what I saw from Ruan, so I'm not too disappointed.
No, he's I always want to go as far as saying he was the only one that really went in like both hands and gave it more than everything, because I think he'd been left on the bench or left out completely for so long. He probably thought, I cannot take this for granted. Like everyone else is kind of getting bits here and there, with the Welsh match in Portugal and so on. And so I felt that he showed his appreciation I mean, even more so.
I think he was like super eager to make an impression. That one penalty that he gave away,
shame.
Like he should have scored. But if you listen to, I think it was we can cross shout out, but the podcast with Scala,
Box Office,
and Luat is insanely was insanely insightful. Just to show what goes into being a lock. And he was actually saying that he was very encouraged by Ruan's bounce back. It's like, this is probably something that he would have, he knows that he should have done better, but he liked the way he ended, and I would agree, like he was starting to marshal that maul especially, right? Lloyd goes into the technical aspects and he was like, look at what Ruan's doing here, this makes it very tough. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's nice to see, because sometimes you just think like that's, it's just a big guy, but there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and that's why I think, my concern, we've spoken in private, is our number 5 lock, or at least the expert line-out caller. So I'm glad that he's getting this opportunity, and hopefully he can build on it, and hopefully that first-time jitters are out, and he can focus on his game. Some people actually from the Bulls have said that they don't like him to be captain.
Yeah, because it distracts him.
Yes.
Yes,
'Cause
that's
he
why I
needs to
missed
think-
Marcel.
Yeah.
Or thought he was captaining from the side.
Yeah, so they were saying that like they feel like he's burdened with too much. And maybe that comes at a later stage in his career.
Yeah.
Because people forget, I think he's only like 20.
He looks older
He
than
looks
he is.
older, yeah. He looks older than he is. So, yeah, I think he definitely stood out. Sasha, some good and some bad. Fassie really impressed me.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, no, I
Okay,
like.
say it again.
No, Fassie did well.
Yeah.
Mapimpi probably.
It's difficult.
He should have scored on that. Like a very technical mistake for such an
Okay.
older player. Yeah, I mean you can see these certain guys that are now starting to wane, and it's just a natural progression. He still had a good game. I mean, he gave that brilliant kick for Fassie.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm just excited to see. Hopefully, I like where Rassi in the press conference earlier today was saying that, we've been telling Fassie, go now, like show people what you can do. Like it's your time is now. You're on the clock, essentially. So hopefully he, uses this opportunity because I mean, around the corner, the incumbent is.
He's getting ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's starting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we go too far in the future, the team was announced. Fassie is rewarded. Nortje, he is rewarded as well. It could just be circumstantial because there is a bit of a lock dry spell. Our social media expert did let us know about things happening in the camp, that Eben might still be included in the team. He might not, because he did train. I remember Rassi having a rule that if you can't train on Monday, you can't play on Saturday. But he did train on Tuesday. So, yeah, I don't know what...
So the rule
he
is...
showed up, he was there.
The rule is if you don't practice on a Monday, you can't play.
Yes.
Eben said he might not be able to practice, but then rocked up on practice on Monday and practice whole Monday.
That's mind games. Come
And,
now.
and then the comment was that they will see if he is able to practice today without pain.
Okay.
Because then that will change things. So we'll get a better understanding tomorrow if Eben will be fit or not.
So by the time this goes out, the team makeup might change. So we won't focus too much on that. We were more just looking back on Ruan and how well he's done to earn this start. Others who have been rewarded is just Fassie, and then the rest of the team is basically, the regulars, the double World Cup winners. And then someone who I've come to adore, Jasper Visser, is back.
Yeah.
And Peter Steff's clone, Ben Jason Dixon. I'm so excited for the 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, I would have loved to see Ulrich just to get another game at 8.
Okay.
But I do enjoy the 5, 6, 7, 8. It's Jasper seems to be chomping at the bit to get back into the swing of things.
And this is going to be great. This is kind of like that movie. I think it's Colombiana, where she starves the dog so that he can go and attack.
Okay.
I can't remember, but
maybe Rassi inched him to say, like, listen, make sure he's available for New Zealand, but he needs to go to school. He needs to learn how to tackle.
Yeah.
So sorry, Rassi also mentioned that I didn't know this is a practical implication, but you don't get your match appearance fees, because Rassi was like, it's sad that he couldn't play, but he also didn't get a salary. So like performance, appearance, win fees, a lot.
Well,
so they were taking a bread out of this man's mouth. So don't become between, like, don't come between me and my cheese. Unleash the man.
I think it's a good thing. Is this a World Rugby thing or SA Rugby thing?
It might be that if you are suspended due to the code of conduct for SA Rugby, they then suspend your...
No, I'm just thinking about like the Owen Farrells of the world. Like, does it's not drive then? How hungry is his family?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because Rassi was saying that he still needed to come to practice.
Oh,
So I wonder,
Sure.
how it happens.
okay.
But anyway.
Has to give him like bus money every time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm very excited to see a hungry Aspevisa. Alriklo, he is on the bench though, and of course Kwacha is there to fill in whatever gap is needed. I couldn't wait for him to come on in that last Australian match in
Yeah.
the rain. I was just like, bring him,
Yes.
bring him,
Yeah.
bring him.
No,
That took long.
I think this is his role now. I think we should stop entertaining the idea of a starter. And maybe as a starter to rest other potential starters
Okay.
against like a tier 2, tier
Yeah,
3.
that's fine.
Wales, you can go have at it.
Okay.
But not against the big boys.
No, that's great. That's great. I was just saying that I couldn't wait for him to come on, and he delivered. He brings.
He did.
Brings. He does. If that is his job,
He's the world's best
excellent.
at it. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's like when I say Checo is the world's best second driver. No one wants to be the best replacement. Okay, sure. Who else is on the bench here? The world's best second number 2, Malcolm Marx. I mean,
That is
come on,
crazy.
that's so different.
That is crazy.
Actually, I just call him because I watched the Australian match with non-rugby people, and I was explaining to them, like, ask 10 people who their favorite rugby player is. 9 of them will say Malcolm Marx.
It's weird.
So
heard
that's
he's,
how
like,
I describe him.
Quite well renowned in All Black circles as well.
Oh.
Yeah, they like wish
Okay.
they had someone like him. Or
Oh,
he's
wow.
very well respected, shall we say.
Oh, that's
remember,
nice.
I think it's weird that I think it was one season where the Lions had a record for away
yes.
wins
Yeah.
and All Black teams, and obviously that's when he was at his best, really. So I think that's where he garnered
That's
quite a lot
lovely.
of respect from
Aw.
them. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to change it now. Ask anyone in the world. 9 out of 10. Yeah. Okay, he's there. And then another great replacement who, for me, again, deserves more.
No.
Come on, Grant.
Grant needs to prove it at a provincial. He can't even be the best starter at his club. I'm just saying.
That's fine. He's not my star. He's not my star.
Oh.
I'm here for Jaden, and he's getting ready.
But don't you think he fits the substitute role more than the starting role?
Yes, but that is, and later when we do the one who got away, when I was reading up on my one who got away, the quote was, he was cursed by his own versatility.
I know who this is. But he's got a lot of caps.
So, so Grant,
Oh, well,
he's cursed by his own versatility.
let me say, I don't think Grant plays if he's not as versatile as he is. Injuries aside, do you think he plays? In a straight, just scrum off role.
No, because there's Jaden.
Exactly. There's Jaden. I would
And
even
there's
say
Herschel.
No, but Herschel has
Herschel is my
produced.
absolute favorite, actually.
Herschel has produced. I'm not saying that Grant isn't a good player. That's not the point.
But he's not the first.
I don't think he's ever gonna be that for the Springboks.
So he's there because he's versatile,
Yes.
but he's not starting because he's versatile.
That's two.
Oh,
That's
that's
both
his
sides.
memoir. I'll write it for you, Grant.
And I'm sure you know when you're at that stage of your career, you just want that green jersey.
I guess, yeah.
And Russ is sort of fostering that sort of mindset. I was listening to Skulk Brits.
Another great replacement.
Yeah, but he was talking about there were times where he would get very moody about not playing. And
Skulk Brits moody. I don't believe.
No. He said sometimes he used to have it out for coaches. Could be like, this coach is not,
Oh,
this coach
word.
is silly because you're not choosing.
Yeah.
And then it actually dampened or lessened his excitement and his joy from the game.
Okay.
And then he realized, okay, what can I do in this role?
Okay.
And that's where he sort of
Yeah.
matured. And
Oh,
you
good.
you can see that across
Yes.
his career.
Yeah, I don't
He's the
believe
ultimate
that.
team
Yeah,
player.
he is joy.
Yeah. So
Okay, wonderful.
I think I think Grant is of that mind.
Yeah, and he is mature. He's a bit
He's-
older than the others.
Yeah, he is, and I think he fills a role and he fills it well, and he gives us that room to play. Like, it's not
Yeah.
something that we should take lightly.
No.
Not everyone can do it, and I mean, when he played at the wing, it wasn't an issue, and that's crazy at international level,
Yeah.
that you can play someone out of position and still be serviceable. So I'm happy for him, and when he starts, I will back him. But I just, in terms of him filling that role, I did see some not interesting, but I obviously saw some positive signs in that Irish test, the second test.
Yes.
Especially. That's like game-breaking ability. But if he can do that consistently, then I think he's a shoe-in
Okay.
for that role.
I think maybe I'd be less upset if it was him on the bench with someone else starting. Maybe that's why
I think
because
it's that.
everything that you've said now is valid, and I agree 100% with everything you're saying. And I'm going, but then why am I upset he's on the bench? And then I go, oh,
Yeah, but I mean,
that's it. Okay.
I think they just giving. I think Faf definitely would have played just to give that experience.
Yeah.
for
Especially
Sasha.
next to Sasha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's that. To be honest, I think that's the only reason. I don't think Kobus can count on being there at the next World Cup. So he's here for this transitionary period. And I think if Jaden was fit, we might not see Kobus at all. Even Faf as well. Or Faf is talking about playing 2 more years. I don't know.
Where? Oh, maybe.
He says his body is feeling revitalized. I didn't read the article. I just saw the
Okay.
quote and I said,
Okay, studies should be going into that. Maybe it's only wearing a Speedo benefits
Maybe, yeah.
the longevity
Sunlight.
of your rugby career. Yeah. Okay, so that's our lineup for that match, which takes place on the 31st of August, 5 o'clock, South African time. Yeah, that's the team on the South African side, at least. It's at Ellis Park, and there's a lot of history, and I thought I would treat you with some of those numbers. Ellis Park first played host to this very important rivalry. I think I saw a headline. It had Springboks and All Blacks greatest rivalry in rugby, and then rugby was scratched out and it said sport.
okay, it's
Whoa! Okay. Anyway, so for this great rivalry, back in 1928, that was the
Okay.
first match. Wow.
wow.
What a history. It's almost 100 years.
I mean,
In 4 years' time, it'll be
I'm
100
not to get
years.
too political, but would it count as South Africa?
It just says the Springboks.
Oh, okay, so maybe that is.
It's Springboks All Blacks. It's not
Ah,
necessarily South
South
Africa,
Africa.
New Zealand.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. That was actually just their second match ever. They played the week before in Durban. But we're focusing on Ellis Park because no one should ever play in Durban.
Yes.
Except the Hollywood Bets Salsi
Johnson Workway.
Sharks. Oh yes, Johnson Workway. I see Bongi and Evan. Okay. Okay. And actually, that was the first time that New Zealand or the All Blacks beat the Springboks in South Africa.
The second game.
7-6. Just 1 point.
Oh,
the difference.
I
And
wonder
we
what
are
the
living-
laws were.
They probably had like 20 people on the field.
I don't know. That the laws must have been crazy back then. What was the 7-6?
Yeah. So 1 converted try and 2
penalties.
penalties.
Yeah,
What was
it
it?
was
Nas
2
Porter
drop-
that scored. Okay. So 21 years later, they play again, and this time South Africa won 12 points to 6.
Okay.
Okay. And then, of course, over the years, Ellis Park changed. Now, that first match, that 7-6 match, there were 30,000 fans. And, well, now it can take a whole lot more than that. And, it's just a very important ground. Of course, the most famous of all the victories is 1995, where the Springboks beat the All Blacks at that history-making World Cup final. And yeah, some other memorable victories at Ellis Park. The biggest margin came in 2004 under Jake White. 40 points to 26. 7 tries scored on the day. 3 by Marius Hubert.
Wow.
And I remember that when him and Skulk and John, 1, 2, 3. Very memorable. The All Blacks, their biggest margin came, the one that you were talking about before we recorded, 35 points to 23. That was under Ian Foster. There is a lot of history. None of those things matter on the day.
Yeah.
But it's, it makes for a lovely occasion and everyone gets really excited. So just to summarize that, they've played overall 15 tests. Springboks winning 9 of those. All Blacks only winning 6. And then the Springboks scoring more tries, 37 across those matches, to the All Blacks 34. So that's really great. So if we look at the points across all of the matches, points for the Springboks 352, All Blacks 328, average score 23 points to 22 to the Springboks, just 1 point.
Sure.
Poetic. So we've looked at our team, we've looked at some history. On the other side, I don't know how deep you've been diving, but while we're having a bit of a lock situation, the All Blacks are feeling good. They've been talking about, and please forgive me, Tupoa
Tupoa.
That's it. I just said it slower. He's just like, he's all the rage at the moment. You buying into it?
Yeah, I mean, before the Twickenham test, Mighty Williams.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah, no, I like him, but they were going crazy about this gentleman.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened to him actually?
No,
Is he
he's
the one who got away?
No, he's playing. He's still very young.
I haven't seen much of him, but
No,
I mean during the World Cup he made.
I don't think he started like most matches. So Tyrell Lomax, and it might be that he starts because
Lomax is also.
I
he's
think
he's like been on and off.
For
After
Fletcher,
that shark bite at Twickenham.
Fletcher Newell is out, so it might be that we might see more of the Mighty. But I mean, I just going up against. Actually, hold up. I forgot for a second.
Yes.
Our stocks.
Yes.
But I think they are celebrating him absent our lock issues.
That's what I mean. I think it's a psychological thing. Like we're talking about how our locks, there's a bit of a situation going, and now they're going, oh well, look at ours.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking if you think it's real or if it is.
I think we have Peter Steph played lock previously. Played 2 tests under I think Alistair Kutsia. Still had a scrum cap on, I remember. And it's just the player. That's who we're putting there. It's not some joker.
Nope.
I don't think Tupoa has played a South African team yet. I can't remember. And I actually feel like he was in that All Black team that we played at Twickenham. Because I remember, I need to go listen back to our first few episodes, but I feel like he was brought up and we just dismissed him, rightfully so. So I think maybe he's made improvements.
But they were shell-shocked that match. It's different.
You're going to Ellis Park. That was in Twickenham. That was a neutral ground. Like you aren't ready for what is coming, and so. Look, I mean, they can hype whoever they want to hype. Oh no, it was Sam Whitelock actually. Tupoa was on the bench.
Okay.
Maybe they have an axe to grind because that was their first foray into this rivalry, and maybe they have something to prove. Motivation is a big part in this. But I just I don't know. I'm very serene about this. Even with the lock drought that we have, I feel like the contingencies that we suffered through
Yeah.
is starting to prove or show dividends
Okay.
now. So
Yeah.
only player just in terms of the All Black team, we obviously don't know 100% who will be playing, but the only real player that concerns me is probably someone like Scott Barrett, just because
For the wrong reasons, though.
yeah.
Because he's gonna hurt someone.
something clownish like that. He's a competitor. He's the most experienced forward they have, I think, by far.
Could be.
And obviously Ardy. Those are the two. Everyone else, they haven't shown themselves to be really. Cody Taylor maybe, but even him, I don't know. What I saw against Argentina, they there for the taking, and it's Ellis Park.
Now, while we're saying they're there for the taking, there was, of course, news this week that Luke McDonald left, and he was their attacking coach. Are we concerned, with Felix leaving, now Luke McDonald leaving, Leon McDonald leaving? Could they poach Tony?
I think probably Kuhn is contracted. It might be an expensive. Because I was listening to people talking about Felix Jones, that's left on his own accord, but he's still contracted to RFU, I guess, the rugby union in England, till 2025 or 2026, and he's got a non-compete clause.
Oh no!
So I'm assuming that's going to need to be
bought out.
Yeah. So that becomes cost prohibitive. Hopefully that is the same with Tony Brown. Although look, Tony's bringing a new insight. Could that be, or rather should I phrase it the way, is Tony that much better than anyone could? I don't think the Springboks need to necessarily fear. I think Tony is licking his lips at the opportunity that he has, right? You have this very experienced, highly capable, highly skilled, factory producing nation, and he gets to mold it in a certain way. I think you won't get that. We talk about legacy and leaving an imprint. You won't get that opportunity elsewhere. So I don't think Tony is itching to leave. With regards to Scott and Leon, they like old mates, and I'm not sure of the tenor of how they broke up. Was it amicable, or was it? But I found it weird that like a head coach from a club, I don't think we've had that even in the Springboks. Where has it been that you've had assistants from the Springboks go on to be head coaches, but not the other way around?
Yes.
So I think there will be an inevitable clash of sort of visions, especially because Leon he had some success with the Blues, so it's not as if he doesn't have something to show for it. And maybe now Scott is the single decision maker. Maybe that makes things more efficient, because instead of going back and forth, there's a unified, now solitary vision. Whether that's good or bad, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That match again, 5 o'clock South African time. Kickoff at Ellis Park. Springboks and the All Blacks. Before we head on to the ones who got away feature, any final thoughts on this upcoming match? I also saw in the New Zealand press that their forwards coach, Jason Ryan, they were talking about how they're working on their maul defense. And of course we have Ruan there and how he performed against Australia, so that might be an area that they're targeting. But then they're also talking about, and this is not from the team itself, but from their pundits, so John Kerwin, talking about how the All Blacks need to target Sasha.
I don't know. I feel like they're very isolated. The person that you would deem is able to be targeted would probably be someone like David McKenzie. Like, am I missing something? Like, what has Sasha shown that you're able to target him and you won't pay for it? You know, like, I mean, he's obviously still fresh and he's young. So maybe they're just coming in from a purely inexperienced, you know. But some people, they don't need that experience, you know what I mean? Like, they're just that much better. So, if you want a game plan for Sasha, be my guest. And defense, I know that the All Blacks are renowned for that, so it's not something that they would need to increase, although they were showing signs of deficiency against the Argentinians. And I wouldn't even say it was really more defense, it was just like simple concentration errors that they never picked up. The one was a quick line out. The guy didn't even get off his feet. Like, they just caught him sleeping. And so the Springboks know that. And that's typically how we used to beat them, right? We used to grind them down. So there's this new dimension that we have. Probably one of the fastest backlines we've put out there in a long time. So I still don't think, and we spoke about the sort of the tight/loose trio, workhorses.
Oh yeah.
Ruan, I think, Peter Stiff. Do we need to say?
That's all you
there?
need to say.
And then we have Peter Stiff Jr. Following, likewise, and then we have our transparent captain, who's no slouch,
using all the fat for good.
And so, do they have the capacity to keep up? I mean, it seems like the roles have been reversed, right? They're coming with a much heavier, much bulkier, less mobile forward pack, and we have this sort of agile streak across the whole team, I would say. I look at Ox, come on. You don't see soft hands like that
no.
in the All Black jersey, so we'll see. I think it's going to make for interesting watching. Yeah. And it depends if the All Blacks, sort of, given that they have that assistant vacating now, if there is, because he's taking over the attacking coach, Scott Robinson. So it'll be interesting to see if they go that sort of flinging the ball around, or do they go more percentages. I've heard it said that Scott is a very analytics driven, so very much by the percentages. So we'll see.
It's going to make for interesting and entertaining viewing, we believe. Now, other fixtures that you can look forward to, the Currie Cup, of course, full action. Starting on Friday at 3 in the afternoon, Griquas and the Cheetahs, with the Bulls and Lions at 5, the Yuksko Derby. That's always the best match the whole season. If you watch nothing else, watch that. It'll be so great. And then on Saturday, the Sharks and the Griffins at lunchtime. Don't get too full though, because there's a feast that awaits you at 5 o'clock. Springboks, All Blacks, and then midnight snack, Western, Argentina and Australia. And then to end off the weekend, Western Province, Pumas, P-E-M-R-S, Pumas, the Pumas in pink at 3. Okay, the ones who got away. I hinted at it earlier, the curse of versatility, right? Something like that. This utility back, he could play fullback, fly off, and wing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's different to what I was thinking.
He did play for the Springboks, 23 caps, scored 8 tries, had a very cute nickname as well. He's from the Eastern Cape. He went to like a fairly decent rugby school, and so, you know, the usual selection, making his way through the levels. Then his senior career actually started at the Pumas. Then he went on to the Sharks, and that's where he spent most of his career. He did play for the Stormers and Western Province, but I mean, that's where people go to die. And then, like I said, for South Africa, he played 23 matches. And just little trivia, he has a sister who played for the South African hockey team. I'm talking about... Oh, and he also doesn't go by his first name. He goes by his middle name. I'm talking about Robert Brent Russell.
Oh. The pocket rocket.
The pocket rocket. Aww. I don't know if he's the one who got away. I mean, he did his thing. But I definitely think he's the one who's been forgotten.
I'm sorry.
He has been. He's been forgotten.
Well, I remember him. But without sounding too dismissive.
Okay.
What has he done to be memorable?
I mean, preparing for this, you watch a lot of like clips from old matches and like Tri-Nations, you know, he made some moves. He beat a lot of defenders. I know Australia right now, we think of them and go, what? But back then they were formidable and he just like sliced through them like Kurtley did the other day.
Yeah. No, look, he was...
He had lovely moments.
I need to... How tall is he?
My height? 1.4. I don't... Oh, wow.
You see?
He's humongous.
This is what I was going to say. When you see these guys, like, with their peers, you're like, wow, that guy's quite short. He's probably 186.
He's 174, so he's your height.
No, I'm but...
Oh, wow, okay.
I will argue for my height.
No, I actually have no... Because everyone is taller than me, so I just assumed he was...
Yeah, I thought he was maybe like Cheslin. What is Cheslin? Let's just check quickly. Sorry, live podcast. Yeah. Cheslin's 171.
Okay, so more or less the same. He just has more. His hair goes higher.
Definitely. Yeah, look, he came up in an era where it was very controversial to choose such a small winger, but he's basically same profile like your hot steppers that you have now. He was a reasonable defender for his size, especially because he was coming up against like these behemoths that won the win. Think of Rocco Coco, Serele Nakalavuki. That was his Lottie Takiri.
Imagine! Yeah. And he was taking them out.
Yeah, so, I mean, from that perspective, I think he's definitely more of a Sharks legend. But, yeah, I guess, shame. At 23 caps is a lot, though.
They're probably all off the bench.
Definitely. But I wouldn't, if you had to ask me, I would have suspected less than that. So, I think he's... I don't want to speak for him, but I think he'd probably take that as a career.
I think he's happy. Also, after that, after like retiring from international rugby and the Stormers, he left and he spent a good time in Europe. He played for Saracens, Clermont, Lille. So, he did.
I remember seeing him. Sorry, I remember seeing him on Flash Call, and they give you the nationality, and they listed him as French.
Oh.
For some reason, and the great Ricky January.
Oh my!
I was like, okay, this is weird. I think it was probably like an error. But that was
like when Sia Khaleesi was the Wallabies captain.
I don't know about that.
They had in the post match of the first match.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
They wish. So that's my guy. I just thought I'd keep it light and not too emotional.
Okay.
It's a very non-emotional choice for me. Actually, I thought he was my height, but okay. I wanted to give him a mention because he did come up on a few highlight reels this week, looking back at some Tri-Nations. Of course, he also played sevens. Yeah. Which we also forget about.
Yeah, he was one of like the very first dual coders.
Yeah. He's the original versatile player.
I get you. Permission to admit a preemptive one that got away.
Oh. Let's see. Present your evidence.
Let me see if I can run through your... okay, so... maybe this gives it away.
Okay.
Goes by a nickname.
Okay.
Actual name, Emmanuel.
Oh my.
Oh, you see, so you don't know yet. This is interesting. Can play fly off or fullback.
Oh. I'm still stuck on the name.
Yes.
Okay.
Made his debut, or he came through the ranks at the EP Kings,
Ooh.
Eagles,
Ooh.
and Blue Bulls.
Oh.
From Hoërskool Outeniqua.
Oh. This is rude. This is really rude. I take offense. I wanted a non-emotional
Emmanuel Libok.
I wanted a non-emotional edition of this feature. And you took that away from me.
I'm just saying, Emmanuel Mani Libok. The one that got away. As the progenitor of the SFM
My word.
school. World Cup winner, but only 18 caps. Sorry, 16. I stand to be corrected. I think we should recognize this as the end of an era.
Sure.
He will be called upon in dire straits. Obviously, I'm joking, but what is it? Where do you see? This is now a bit more serious. Does he have a future in the Springboks setup? Given that Rassie is definitely forging ahead with Sasha at 10.
Yeah, no, I think in Sasha they found, the blender mix Mani plus Andre.
Okay, exactly.
I don't think we saw the beauty that was the combination of having them.
Yeah.
Mani's magic and Andre's steel.
Yeah.
And now we found a guy who can take the best of those.
Yeah.
But just like Mani needed Andre and Andre needed Mani, Sasha needs someone. So who is that going to be for the now? Maybe someone's coming,
Yeah.
but for now.
Oh, well, the people are talking about the young Alziden Felix.
Oh.
Also Grey College graduate. And they already playing him at fullback. For the SA schools teams. But that's beside the point. I just think, does this affect what happens at the Stormers? And if that doesn't, do SA Rugby risk watching a prodigious talent like Sasha?
Yeah.
And then would you not want to see him move to... Because Jordan's going to the Sharks, right?
Yeah.
The Lions have Noamba playing at 10. They also signed someone from the Griquas. They fly off. So that will be sort of the understudy. I think the Bulls could do with...
Yes, please.
And I would love to see that, to be honest.
That would actually be quite lovely.
That would balance the powers.
Yes, and
Yeah.
also then Goosen could be,
the
the other guy.
Exactly.
And then Mani could bring in some,
Yeah. And just in terms of Mani, I think if he sorts out his kicking, there's a conversation that Pollard might be,
Yeah.
in danger.
Yeah, for me it was always like that because someone else can kick.
Yeah.
You can. For me, it was easier to replace what Pollard can do than what Mani can do.
Yeah, but that's such a glaring
Yeah.
issue. And so I say that to say my entry is not it's not a complete throwaway,
Sure.
because we could risk losing a player of a World Cup winner, a URC winner, and that does provide that utility. But I feel like he's also missing out because they're not playing him at fullback. I know Rassie mentioned that he thinks of him as a potential fullback, replacement or a player. But I mean, we saw that at the Sharks. He played predominantly fullback before he went to fly off.
Yeah.
And so it's going to really be interesting. And I wonder where the levels of power are in SA Rugby.
Yeah.
Where Rassie's like, yo, you need to take care of this.
Yeah.
Or if Dobson still has carte blanche on what happens and what doesn't happen.
Yeah, like a round table with the unions.
Yes, just to
for
say,
like
guys,
this is the big picture,
we need
and
to
this
sort
is
this
what
out.
you need to do.
and to find a solution that will assist in everything. Yeah, so this will be a topic we will revisit. I'm just depositing them now, or this particular player for now. But I think, in all seriousness, I have a dual nomination.
Oh.
So Aphelele Dianti and Spunkosi, who ironically made their debut on the same day against England.
And then exited in the same headline as well. Hey.
For personal, I would say reasons. I can't adjudicate on Spunkosi's did he do it or didn't he do it. As far as I know, he's still maintaining his innocence. So it could be one of these Chili Boy situations where, or you never know. But
Chili
aside from
Boy is
that,
my next, the one who got.
I saw there was Jared Wright was supposed on this day and then the debut, right?
Oh, was his debut?
Yeah. He made his debut when he was 19.
Sure, yeah, I believe that.
That's crazy.
He was captain of the Springboks at one stage.
Yeah. Too soon. Spunkosi, Aphelele Dianti actually had a very good strike rate.
Oh yeah.
They were the inform provincial wingers. Spoo for the Sharks. I think that was probably when he was producing his best. So you had Mapimpi, Spoo. I think to this date, Spoo's probably still our fastest Springbok over 40 meters. I haven't seen anyone counter that claim, because I remember when he was in the squad, they were saying that he was the fastest, and the squad is still made up of mostly the same players. Maybe new players. I don't know if Ed will be better, but anyway, really lethal, great finisher, also good under the high ball, and a big body.
Yeah.
So I think we do miss that dynamic. Kanan's not the same type of player. Like Spoo is, like, I would say, just pure pace and power, whereas Kanan's a bit more gal.
Yeah.
And they're obviously moving Kanan to center, so they see some things there that I don't think was present in Spoo. Dianti was also like just a freak in terms of his finishing ability. He was like Mapimpi before Mapimpi.
He
I would
was,
say.
yes.
I think his strike rate was crazy. I think it was 16-13.
Sure. Well, yeah, Mapimpi was going like 11 for 11 at one
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah, but I would probably say Dianti was coming up against like proper opposition. You know, not that Mapimpi's not scoring against good teams, but I would recognize that Kirtley's record is different to Mapimpi's. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think just whether by circumstance or individual choices, these two would have been shoe-ins for the next World Cup and the last World Cup had things gone a different route. And we probably, I think the coaching team would have loved to have a fully fit and motivated and, I say clean in brackets, Spoo and Aphelele. I think Aphile's on his way back now. He's gone to a few clubs. So hopefully he can.
What are the rules? What's the
I think he served his time.
statute of limitations?
He served his time, so he is currently contracted to the Sharks. So hopefully, he gets things underway. Maybe even a second win in his career, maybe in Europe, or would be good for both. I think Spoo's issues are a bit more deeper, and I don't know. It's like sort of he said, she said, where he feels like the club didn't really
take care of him,
prioritize him, and the club is saying, well, we actually tried everything that we could. So hopefully that gets resolved, and it would be a lovely story, I think, for him, especially if he can turn it around, and then money will be the legitimate one that got away. But as things stand, these two will be my entries.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. So much for a nice light end to this edition. I got nothing. I have no rebuttal, and Nothing to add or take away or to say. Maybe next week we give it a skip.
I will say a few years, maybe not even a few years.
Sure.
Maybe a year or two, I will be seen as prescient, and then I will just like to have my flowers for this foresight.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I might want to start my own segment. The one we need to grow. You know, that might be something interesting because that's a bit more hopeful.
Yes,
you know.
Yes, I mean, when we started this feature, it had an element not necessarily of hope, but of optimism, because we were celebrating what we saw.
Yes.
While kind of saying, "Oh, it's a pity we didn't see more."
Yeah.
But now it's taken a turn.
Although, so I have one for potentially both categories.
Okay.
This is just my own stock take.
Why are you doing a whole team?
No. This is so. Paul Ruas.
Yeah.
Beat Grey College. Just an update from the school rugby.
Thanks.
There is a potential case for one that got away.
Oh.
So there's a young player by Riley Norton. He's, I think, the captain of Paul Roos. I'm not sure, but I saw him at the Craven Week. Thought, hey, this fella reminds me of a young Ben Jason.
Oh.
Just in terms of his work rate.
Okay.
Very, 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 very hard working, but also got the offload. I liked what I saw. It turns out he's able to represent South Africa.
Oh no.
In cricket and in rugby.
What?
Yeah, so watch that closely. I think you should go with rugby.
Yes, because cricket takes all day.
But aside from that, we are hosting a Cricket World Cup.
That's fine. Skalkberger had the same option.
Yeah.
And look at him now.
Yeah, but I would say we probably needed a skulk in our cricket. So, but yeah, that's for the ones to look that we need to grow.
Oh, that would be tragic.
This is close to home. I'm only focusing on Western Cape School. Sorry, guys.
Okay, I'll check out what Monument and Affis are doing next week.
but then I've got another one. I don't know where this fella is. He was a part of the Paul Boys Eye team 2 years ago.
Okay.
Thurlon Williams reminded me of Elton, not just culturally, but had the finesse and the managerial sort of. Elton was like a volley in the fly-offs, and that's why we could play Elton instead of then we didn't need to play Pollard, right? Because Elton could run. Elton was Mani before Mani.
Yeah.
But Elton had way more. I want to say accomplishments than Mani, because Elton literally took that Lions team and took them to the highest or the top end. But anyway, had similar playing style, also left-footed if I remember correctly, was in the under-20s team. Really, I thought, okay, Lions then signed him and
disappeared.
I'm searching these Twitter streets to see. Oh my
goodness.
So I don't know if he's had a severe injury or something like that, but he was very promising. Like when you talk about the fly-offs that people were earmarking as potential, and I'm sure it was probably on the EDMS or whatever that system is, he was definitely, I would think, part of that. Just because he looked like a professional playing among school kids. I don't say that lightly. I think they didn't go unbeaten in the season, but even the losses were definitely not on, duty.
We have to find him.
Yeah, so one of his teammates was currently playing in the Curry Cup, Divan Fuller. He was part of that same boys' high team.
So let's ask him.
Maybe I should shout Divan and say, what happened to your mate Thurlon? But hopefully we have some. Stay tuned. We'll see how this unfolds.
Finding Thurlon. That's going to be the spin-off.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. We're so fortunate that we have so much talent, and even when they get away through injury and circumstance and wrong era and all the rest, we're still overflowing with talent. So yeah, what a privileged position we are as fans. We invite you to share your players who you think got away, who showed great promise but then disappeared, or something happened and it just didn't, it didn't get to that mountaintop. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you, and of course we'd love to hear your takes and predictions on the upcoming 2 matches. We want to know about both matches because, like when we started, Timothy's already sharing concern for Cape Town, which could be a great movie or series, docu-series. Yeah, but Timothy, thank you so much for almost everything that you have shared today.
I like to just preempt this so that it's easier to deal with, once the reality hits. But stick around for more of my prescient takes, my hot fire, and also my prognostications about future Springboks.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Until next time, this is Nice Try for the fans.